If we ignore the fact that the mod left halfway through because of various reasons, I had to restart the whole thing, for the VOD because people are gonna be like, okay, now you're accusing someone. And we look just at the movie Iron Lung. This movie's really good. Pepe Agony. That emote is actually haunting me. I see it in my dreams now. This movie is a fascinating movie. This is a very spoiler heavy talk, so if you don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it. But I would try my best to stay away from as many important spoilers as I can. I'm just gonna talk. Actually, you know what? This movie can be explained entirely via the way that you feel about certain things, and it doesn't even have to have a single spoiler. So I won't give you a single spoiler. What I will say is this: this is the strongest 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 that I've ever watched. If that makes sense. No, I'm just kidding. It's not the strongest ever, but it is a strong 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. If I think to myself that like a 0 to 10 scale fails to capture enough nuance within the movies that it's a bit like the floating point number thing where like every single part of a floating point number, the lower parts have so much more precision than higher parts. Then I think the comparison starts to make sense. If you don't know programming, some 7 out of 10s are better than other 7 out of 10s. But the reason why we don't do fractionals is because you would be infinite. Like it would be like it would be like pi. Like you'd have a 3 out of 10 movie compared to a 3 out of 10 movie, and one's like 3.07, and the other is just the number pi. It just keeps on going forever. Because there's another one that's like pi plus 0.01. You know what I mean? So that's why we don't do it. This movie is exactly that. It is such a strange movie because I remember the game, and actually I was talking to them about this. If you go and you watch his VOD of Iron Lung, I think it's literally like 30 minutes. It's even 40 minutes is crazy work if you think about it. Because this game really is not that long to play. It's interesting, it's cool, but there really isn't that much to the game. However, I think the additions added to the game were very good. I thought it was a very fascinating way to build up the story within this universe by adding more to the framework of the story, like the lore behind it, than necessarily the thing happening at the moment. And I also like the sort of way that it sort of placed itself as compared to the game and like who you play as within the game. It was sort of interesting to say to look at that and then go, maybe this is related to who you are. Like it was hard to tell, but it was something like that. I found it to be a very, very interesting world. It was sort of interesting how the movie itself wasn't that interesting. This is the weird part, but it did such a good job of steeping you in the atmosphere and the world and the lore that I thought that alone elevated it to a 7 out of 10. I will say the worst part of this movie is in many ways the fact that Markiplier is literally the actor. And so you see his face and you think to yourself, this is a YouTube video. this is just him on YouTube doing stuff. And I think it's the problem of like when somebody has a face that becomes an image for so long that eventually you can't look like you can't see them otherwise, right? This is in contrast to the Obsession movie, where like, because they made Obsession, I had the links here. They made Obsession, they made Milk and Cereal. These movies were very interesting, but nobody ever watches these people because like, why would you ever watch a comedy YouTuber? You know what I mean? Because like, if you go and you watch them, like it's not like, I mean, it's not that they're bad, but it is like, would you want to watch them? I don't know. It's kind of hard to want to watch like a comedy YouTuber when, you know what I mean? And so it's crazy that they're like a 200k view comedy YouTuber and they make a movie that grosses, 50 something million dollars. It's a crazy amount of money, right? Out of nowhere. Fortunately, it's because they went to film school, so I guess they have to be. I will say everyone that I've known that has gone to film school, all of their movies have been fantastic. So this movie was so interesting because of that world building that it did, and yet the execution of it was strange because of one, Markiplier being there, but also two, it tried to introduce this plot line that was completely unrelated to the story at large, and it just had this story of like of the character in it, trying to explain why they were there. And I thought it was a fascinating choice because it felt like it it felt like the kind of thing that I think in between this movie being made and the movie releasing, that perhaps taste had changed. But in my mind, I always think to myself, the interesting part of that movie is not necessarily why somebody is there, but sort of like that they are there and what they do with it, right? To sort of explain this in a different way using a different movie, think of how John Wick, the way it starts out is, and this is like the very beginning of the movie, it's not really spoilers, but it literally starts out and it doesn't explain a single thing. It just shows you who John Wick is and what he's capable of. And it just shows him slipping back into this world that has always existed, but we've only just been made aware of it. I thought this movie was going to do something like that. I thought it was going to focus a lot more on the overarching idea of what this movie is. Which, within the first 5 seconds, it tells you they're going down into a planet with like oceans of blood or something. It's like it's like very quick when they tell it to you. And I thought it was just going to be a movie about him trying to deal with the fact that he's in this machine called the Iron Lung and trying to find stuff in this place and like going around it. But a lot of it was tied to sort of who he was as a person. Yet at the same time, I thought it was fascinating because in explaining that, it gave a different way to tell the story that I found very interesting as a device to sort of like keep your attention and focus and to sort of help explain the effects of being here and to sort of explain, you know, the ways that this place can mess with you. I thought it was a very fascinating plot, like way to like give a reason as to why these things happen, right? I sort of liken it to the idea of when somebody tells you that they're hallucinating. It's not so much that they're hallucinating that's interesting, it's what they hallucinate about. Because through those hallucinations, it elucidates something about them as a person and what kind of life that they've lived. And I thought that was a very interesting approach to like how they did it in the movie. But it was definitely a strange distraction for a lot of it. Because throughout the entire movie, it just kept coming back, rearing its head, getting slowly revealed, peeled, and like the layers were peeled back. But it was peeled back in such a strangely paced way that, you know, the movie had many moments of lows and many moments of highs. And then the movie keeps on going on. And then at some point, the movie then decides to throw in this like weird Deus Ex Machina. It was a very odd approach, or like just like a solution of some kind. It was such a strange thing to have happen. Basically right at the end. And it was like, oh wow, that's how it interacts with things? Oh, that's very odd. It was a thing that, you know, was pure happenstance. It was pure luck. And maybe that was the intention. Because all stories in life are really about how lucky you are to have been in that place at the right time, at the right moment. Why is there oil? Why is there oil on my cup? What the hell is this? What? That's like gasoline. What the fuck? What? Chat, can plastic eventually denature back into, or like melt back into gasoline? Is that bad? Should I be worried about that? Oil. Sorry. At the very end, with that plot point, and it sort of rearing its head, and it sort of being used to sort of explain away a lot of different things and to provide a satisfying conclusion, I was sort of sad to see that. Because in many ways, the movie has two different themes. Very old plastic toys can melt. Yeah, but like this is from Bass Pro Shop, and this is maybe like, I don't know, this is like 2 months old. Maybe they've had it in storage for a long time, and it's not a toy, okay? I'm drinking out of it. It tastes good. Oh. Well, it's a lemon then. Okay, what's crazy too, also, sorry, side tangent. You're the only person who's ever used the term lemon for me for something that like sucks. Right? And it started to enter my daily vernacular. And I started to talk to people in that way, and it's starting to change me. Good. No. It's ruining me, right? In Canada, we have different words for it that I don't quite recall because I use it on habit, but I don't quite remember what the words are. So you'll hear me say it at some point. But yeah, and you're slowly Americanizing me, and it's scaring me. Yeah, this movie at the very end comes in, puts a solution out, and I thought it went so counter to its sort of like secondary theme throughout the entire movie, which is the choices that we make as people and the way that we live our lives as people, sort of like with respect to our past, but not beholden to it. It was sort of an interesting thing where all of that was basically thrown out the window, and it pretty much didn't matter at the very end, because the thing that made everything possible and the thing that made everything worth it was a magic was like basically like a magic bean, if I could say that. It's sort of like a very non-spoiler way to say it, but it's like finding the magic beans, you know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like a MacGuffin. It's strange. It was very video game like, where you'd find a MacGuffin and it would just come into play and be like, oh, good. And so it's crazy because the game had such a high moment preceding the ending, immediately preceding it, and it was one of the best ways that I think that it could have progressed before then, and then it ends not on a bang, but on but on a whimper, but a very loud whimper. It ended on a moan. It was a very loud moan. It was very sad. You ran out of budget, maybe. I mean, this the funny thing is, sorry, skip the plot, go straight to the development. He did mention it costs like $5 million. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, see, just under $5 million. However, I will say this. For a YouTuber that's been doing it for like, I don't know, 20 years, like if you go to his channel, surely he must have had enough more money than $5 million, right? Surely. If you go to his channel, go over here, go to oldest. 14 years ago. Can't 14 years ago? Oh, if after 14 years you don't have more than $5 million, I mean, that's crazy to say, sorry. I mean, to be fair, also, YouTube didn't make money until maybe, I want to say, like, 9 years ago? 11 years ago? I don't know, somewhere around then. So it took a while for it to make money. And also, he went through periods of time when he had, like, maybe 100k views. Actually, he started to fall off at some point, which is kind of funny to see, because, like, then he came back like a storm. And I think people realized he's only funny in certain ways. You can't have him too much. But yeah. Maybe, I mean, still 9 years of YouTube money, being one of the largest YouTube earners, you would think he would have more than $5 million, right? Not to say that you blow your entire budget, like all of your life savings on a movie, but like I would dedicate a little bit more, right? The Unis Honest, the Unis Honest, or whatever it was called, was peak. It was very peak. Was it? It was like the everyday COVID thing, right? I missed out on a couple of them, so I couldn't see them all. But now it's all gone. So no one had... What's crazy if you tell your nieces and nephews, or you tell people in your family about it, they literally can't find information about it. It's literally impossible. It also sounds like anus. But yeah, this movie, maybe it ran out of budget. I have no clue. But that ending definitely soured the whole thing. And I thought it was actually starting to pick up the pace and become much more interesting. I also found, like, really the pacing issues caused a lot of other things to suffer, like the clarity of the movie as well. It was very difficult to follow his actions and his emotions when he was figuring things out, which I think was sad, because when he was figuring things out and when the sort of like the gameplay of the game, but represented within the movie, started to go off the rails and it seemed like he was figuring things out on his own, I thought to myself, wow, that's a really interesting way to show it and to display it. But it was done in such a haphazard way that I felt like the genius of it was sort of lost on you. It was a very natural progression into the way that somebody can think through a problem and sort of come to some sort of conclusion and like try to work it out, right? But it was just done so poorly that you couldn't follow it. Like, this whole movie has like a bunch of issues that hold it back from being something like an 8, honestly. I think if you get rid of all the issues and you actually do the things that it did poorly even slightly better, it could be an 8. That's how close to an 8 that it is. And it could even be a 9 if it didn't star Markiplier. If it starred another human being who you can't pinpoint as a YouTuber, I think it would be amazing, okay? He's too famous to be on here. And you do have to do something a bit like that Milk and Cereal team, the That's a Bad Idea, where you have to take the one brother that no one ever really knows about, and you have to look so generic that no one ever cares about you. And you have to throw both of you into the movie as the actors to make it work. I think YouTubers to actors is a terrible pipeline because unless you're the faceless director hiring people to like play something to become so absorbed in the role that they disappear, I think it's too distracting for a movie to work. And he was very distracting as a character. He really just felt like Markiplier throughout the entire film, which is odd. I think initially there was a moment where he didn't feel like Markiplier, but maybe like 20% of the way into the movie, the rest of the movie, it just felt like Markiplier the entire way through. And I was like, it's very strange. And it's specifically the way that like you can see Sir Ian McKellen in a million movies, and he still feels like a different person every time. You know what I mean? Or you see the guy who played James Bond. If you see him in Knives Out, he's James Bond, and he's the guy in Knives Out. He's not whoever the actor is. He's not even like either character. He's the character. He is the person in the movie. There's a certain skill in being able to erase your identity within acting that I think was missing from here to really sell the experience, which is unfortunate because I also wonder if it's like a personal bias, right? Because you watch somebody for so long that you know everything about them, in the sense of like, oh, like you know what they look like and you know sort of what they do, so it's very hard to divorce yourself. And I think it's because in many ways, when he does his YouTube stuff, he is stretching his acting to his maximal extent. Which is to say that that is his limit, but that's also because he's acting on stream too. In the sense of like, you know, you do for fun bits, right? In the way that I do for fun bits. I do for fun bits on stream all the time. That's the limit of my acting. I'm not gonna all of a sudden go act in a movie and then be on the same level as like, I don't know, like who's a good actor? I'm gonna be like Keanu Reeves, where you know that I'm Keanu Reeves at all times. You know what I mean? And it only works for Keanu Reeves because he's endearingly stupid. Like you could play a you could play a bit like I know where the bastard sleeps. I brought him there to Carfax Abbey. What was it all? Keanu Reeves, where the bastard sleeps. I know where the I can't find the clip anymore. God damn it. Like it's always, I don't know, like YouTube's always got these like shitty clips. But yeah. That erasure of the person behind the role, leaving only the person within the role, leaving only that person that is written within the role is a skill that is not really there within the movie, and so it does take you out of it every now and then. But honestly, for a 7 out of 10, it's a really good 7 out of 10. I was actually kind of hooked the entire way through, despite the fact that it was like a very casual watching thing, where my friend and where me and Sweet D were just talking about it, right? The same with the mod. Even though I was talking through it, I was still so engrossed by it because there were so many little details that were happening at all times. And I will say it does demand your attention to be able to make sense of what's going on. It's not like a Netflix movie where, and I don't know if you know this, but Netflix has this sort of thing that they talk about where it's like, Netflix wants their directors to make movies where the plot is re-explained every 5 seconds, so such that the viewers who watch movies on the side can then go and talk about it again. Because apparently people who watch movies on Netflix really do watch movies as a side thing, and so they need a reiteration of what's going on so that they aren't lost. Which I think is kind of absurd, because I feel like if it's a side thing, then what's the point of watching? Like, when I think about watching a movie, I think to myself, it's like full dedication. You have to watch it. Full dedication. Right? But this movie sort of demands that from you, because if you don't, it's kind of a disaster for you. Because again, that pacing issue, it just goes off the rails at some point, and it just gets like worse and worse and worse. But yeah, good 7 out of 10 movie. Would never watch it again. But it's on YouTube for like $1, so it's kind of easy. Like it literally is just on YouTube to watch for like $1. It's strange how cheap it is. You can just go buy the movie. You can buy the movie for $7, and it's just keep watching it over and over. I don't know, and then download it. You can illegally download it. Afterwards, not to say that you should illegally. I'm saying you should download your purchased copy of the game, so that you have the copy of the game. I have a joke to leave you all for this movie. It's a joke that the mod said. The mod doesn't really... To the seas! I mean, if you watch the movie, that phrase becomes much more haunting. When the mod came in to watch the movie, she kind of joined late because again, you know, the whole boyfriend. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm not saying anything either. I'm not saying anything bad. You know, I'm not saying anything. But when she joined, she didn't know what the movie was. Nor did she really know about Markiplier. She's younger than me. She's technically on the cusp of Gen Z. She is Gen Z. She's 27. Is she 27 or is she 28? I don't know. 26? I don't know. But yeah. She was like, oh, Iron Lung? Like the polio people? Like the polio people? Because she came in and she's like, what are you watching? And we're like, Iron Lung. And she's like, oh, the polio people? Is it like a documentary about the polio people? And the reason why it's called the Iron Lung is because it was supposed to be exactly like the Iron Lung that like polio people use. She ain't wrong. She ain't wrong. She ain't wrong. This is a good representation of the Iron Lung movie. This is a good representation of the Iron Lung movie. It feels exactly like this. It feels exactly like this, where somebody's forcing you to breathe it in and forcing you to suck it out. It's like the whole thing. The whole thing really is just this. You know, it's fascinating how the movie felt and how well it can be explained by, yeah, it's the polio people. It's the polio people. Oh.